narcotics. We've locked that down.
You've been listening to President Trump speak in the Oval Office. He's talking about the renovations to the Lincoln reflecting pool. We're going to continue to monitor what he says in the Oval Office and see if he takes questions, and then we'll go back to him. Right now, though, Democrats are being asked about a controversial candidate. Maine's Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner. Platner's issues span from troubling reports about his Nazi tattoo to hundreds of offensive Reddit posts to staff resignations, including his political director, to texting women sexually explicit messages while he was married. Yesterday, Platner, no doubt trying to do some damage control, came here to Washington. He was on Capitol Hill meeting with Democrats amid his latest controversy of sending those explicit text messages while married. Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman joins me. Nice to talk to you, sir. And is it fair for journalists to ask Democrats on the House and the Senate side whether and what they think about Platner?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, he really put himself on the radar screen, first with his Nazi tattoo. And he was clearly dishonest about it and claimed he was just a drunk guy that just wanted a skull and bones and put that on. And that's just it's not true. That was actually a death's head, a very specific image that the Nazis used at the death camps. And you know, his former staff are actually the same one that's involved with the kick and the sexting scandal. You know, he's a history buff, and he absolutely knew what it was. And just this morning on the Free Beacon, they broke that latest story that he was saying cool picture of some people with the German Nazi helmets, you know, back in World War II. So he knew what it was. So, and that continues. And now, if you can say anything positive, it's like, you know, his things that he said and that he's been responsible for, you've lost count these things. Was he the guy that, you know, an American hero that was under fire under the Taliban? And can I swear on your program? I mean, but
yeah, this is cable. Go ahead.
yeah, I know. I mean, like, you know, he's a dumb motherfucker that didn't deserve to live. That's his words. That's his words. He described an American hero under the Taliban fire. You know, he described the American army as absolute trash in another one of his posts. So for me, this idea, and now with this sexting thing, you know, he's been on Kick. That's a program that has had many problems about child abuse material. And now for 10 years, he's been on it. You know, how can he be, you know, like, who's he really texting? And is he sending these kinds of some messages about, you know, his own kinds of pictures about his own genitals, or about these kinds of texts? You know, how can you be sure, you know, are these people are of age? They've done that for 10 years. He was actually doing that last year until he finally got caught. And they pulled that account just as of, I think, Monday of this week.
Why do you think that someone like Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer doesn't fly up to Maine and have a sit down with him, and they can send him out to pasture someplace, and they can pour a lot of money from the Democratic Party into supporting the governor who suspended her race? She's still on the ballot. So, but why doesn't someone like Schumer, he's the leader of the party, do that? Because it is reprehensible what this man brings upon himself.
Well, I will say is, like, you know, we have a lot of really strong, incredible candidates across on the map, but they're in Maine. You know, the only thing someone could say why they would defend him, other than saying, well, he's a Democrat, that's about all I can say at this point. So for me, I would never carry water for someone like this. But without a doubt, he has some things to really answer. It's like, what has he done for 10 years in that Kick? Anyone that can recognize what that platform's for, has nothing to do with about his marriage. It's just who he's been doing it. You know, can he confirm, you know, all these women that he's been engaging for all the years, you know, what were their age? Were they underage? What would they do these kind of a thing, you know, and behave with that kinds of ways for the last 10 years? Yeah, is really this the kind of person that we want in the Senate? So
But see, Senator, the Democratic Party has an option in the governor. She's still on the ballot. And so, I mean, if there are no exit strategy, I get it. You know, maybe they want to get this Senate so much a majority that they're willing to overlook that. But they have an option. and Schumer's not going up to Maine and telling this man that he needs to take a hike and support the governor. She's on the ballot.
Well, I stayed out of this. You know, the Democrats in Maine, they're entitled to their own voice here. But for me, I'm part of the Democratic Party that would never carry water for someone like that. You know, Platner, you know, he really had problem with me how I dress. You know, and this is a guy that put a picture of him in a towel. You know, like taking a picture that he uses that for his kick profile. And it's like this is a guy, you know, from his Nazi tattoo and describing American heroes and Chris Kyle, the American sniper. You know, they smear a dead man that he was shooting civilians. All of these different kinds of things. So, you know, how any Democrat could defend this person? It's like, if all you can say is, well, he's a Democrat, I'll vote for him, whatever, then that's where we're at. And now I have only great things to say about all the other Democratic candidates from Texas to in Georgia or into Ohio or Iowa, everywhere. But, you know, for me, I'm going to call balls and strikes here. And now, can you imagine if you were describing, describing things, if that was your child that was being shot by the Taliban and referring to people in those things, and then imagine if a Republican would have said those kind of things, and how people would be outraged by it. You know, the people on the left are angry at Chuck Schumer. But they love a guy with a clear Nazi tattoo on his chest and has no problem with a creeper that had a kick account for the past decade and was using it, you know, until last year while he was with this guy. Having no idea, are these women that he's engaging even are over age?
Senator John Fetterman, thank you. And of course, we're all going to be watching to see what does happen in Maine coming up soon in their state. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Also today on Capitol Hill, fireworks. Trump's cabinet chiefs took questions from Congress, and in a sharply divided Capitol Hill, things went haywire. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was there to talk about the budget, but Congress went off topic and the name Jeffrey Epstein came up.
Senator Wyden has mendaciously slandered the Treasury building in an attempt to cover up his son having an investment meeting with Jeffrey Epstein to ask for funding.
Nobody is interested in the ramblings of a capo in the most corrupt regime in American history.
Your son's largest investment position was Rick's Cabaret. So did your son and Jeffrey Epstein talk about pole dancing as he begged him for money using your limited credibility?
Ouch. That was a 2x4 right between the eyes. Well, it's not just Secretary Bessent who slapped back at lawmakers. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had his turn. He likewise was on the Hill to talk budget of the State Department. He didn't get asked about Epstein, but had this odd exchange, or at least I think it was odd.
You can't say that the president lost the 2020 election, just like you won't admit President Trump is losing this reckless war of choice, and just like you couldn't admit that the shoes the president bought you were too big. You clearly don't know what winning means, and not because the facts are unclear to you, it's because telling the truth would cost you your job, and the American people are entitled to a Secretary of State who tells them the truth even when the president doesn't want to hear it, and my constituents, our service members, deserve better. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I don't know what shoes she's talking about. What is she talking about?
I don't know. Representative Burchett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'd like to answer any of that.
Yeah, I don't know about the
I'll
shoes.
give
I mean,
you
he
a
gave me
minute.
some Florsheim shoes. They're actually pretty good. They fit fine. I don't know what she's talking about. And maybe that's what she's referring to.
Your shoes look very nice today, Mr. Secretary.
Well, how can you see them? They're way down here.
That was California Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, by the way, talking about shoes. Coming up, imagine running for re-election someone with the same name you have and is in the same political party as you are, pops up on the ballot. That when the record continues.
Donald Trump's second presidency is changing America. Now you need to watch Rob Schmidt tonight on President Trump's next big move. Then tune into Rob Finnerty taking on Trump's critics. President Trump says he watches Newsmax. You should too. Download our Newsmax app to watch us anytime, anywhere. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax. Be one.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. If you or a loved one has mesothelioma or any other asbestos-related cancer, call now. Asbestos manufacturers sold deadly asbestos materials to thousands of companies, putting workers at risk. An estimated $30 billion in court-ordered trusts have been set aside to pay out claims to asbestos victims. You may be entitled to a portion of these funds and receive compensation without filing a lawsuit or ever going to court. For your free legal consultation, call 1-800-306-1979. That's 1-800-306-1979.
Sensitive mouth and gums? Ever heard of Closest mouthwash? Your dentist and hygienist have. They know Closest is ultra gentle for sensitive mouths with non-burning mouthwashes that freshen breath, improve gum health, and strengthen teeth. Closest, the gentle mouthwash for sensitive mouths.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
People always ask me how I stay ready, how I stay consistent, how I lock in when it actually counts, again and again. It's the work you do before anyone's watching. They think I must be on something. Maybe. It's pure, it's potent. It's all me. Something that never lets me down. Armra. I'm on it.
We're going to go back to the Oval Office. The president's talking to reporters.
Destroyed. Their families have been destroyed, many of them. I'm not just talking about a few people. Many of them. I'm one of them. They raided my house, Mar-a-Lago. That never happened. Nobody ever thought of a thing like that. It turned out that it was a total fake. Everything about it was fake and corrupt. We have all the information. You know, the good advantage to sitting here is we can get information that you wouldn't get by what we have and what we are going to be showing over the coming weeks and months. You're not even going to believe. Some of you will believe it, like CNN will believe it because they knew what was going on. They're crooked as hell. CNN's a very corrupt organization, but with a corrupt reporter standing right there. Never smiles. She never smiles. She's a young, beautiful woman, never smiles. I never see a smile off her face. I see her standing there with hatred in her eyes, like she has hatred because we have borders, because we have a strong military, because we cut our taxes, because we do things that everybody wanted, and then we win our election in a massive landslide. We win 87% of the counties in this country. Nobody's ever heard of a thing like that. And that's because we're doing the right job. And we took a detour down to Iran because we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon under any circumstances. We can't let that happen. So the reporters should be happy. They shouldn't be unhappy. They should be very happy. Because you know what we're doing? We're saving our country.
Yes, Mr. President, two questions. One on Iran and then one on your birthday, which you will like. The first one is, are you concerned at all that the IRGC could sabotage any potential deal? And then the second one is, you have a birthday coming up. I won't say which number, but it's a big birthday. So you're going to blow out a candle. You're going to blow out some candles on a cake, hopefully. What are your wishes that you'd like to see accomplished for the next year for the United States and your presidency?
Well, I'll go in your order. Anything can happen, you know, when you're dealing with Iran, but when you're dealing with other countries. But that's a very volatile part of the world, probably the most volatile part of the world. The people are volatile, the leadership, you see what's going on. We've gone through 3 teams of leadership. It's been we're military. There's never been a military like what we have. We could go another 2-3 weeks and just wipe everybody out. I'd rather not do that. Very easy to do. They're ready to do it. They want to do it. They want to do it. But if we can get something down in writing which will accomplish the same thing without killing everybody, I'd like to do that. Most of my people, I think, would like to do that. Some people wouldn't, but most of them would. But we had to take a detour as far as wishes for, and I'm very proud of that detour, you know. By the way, just to finish off on that, we had the strongest stock market in history And I said, we have no choice, we have to do it. I knew it would affect it, but I was very happily surprised when I saw that today we hit another stock market high. I mean, we have the highest stock market in history with a military conflict going on, or a war. Some people call it war, some people call it a military. It's not a big thing for us. We have a great military, it's not a big thing for us. But if I didn't do that, I spoke to people like Peter, great financial people, Scott and Howard and lots of others. I said, you know, we just hit the greatest stock market in history. Everyone's 401ks are the highest they've ever been. Everybody's making a lot of money. Costs are coming down. You know, we took over the highest cost and the highest inflation in the history of our country. Costs are coming down. Everything's good. And I hate to tell you this, but we've got to take a little detour and go down to a place called the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we're going to have to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. That's what we've done. And they've agreed to that. By the way, if they sign the agreement, they will have agreed to, we will not have a nuclear weapon or bomb. We will not. I said, what about if they buy? That went into a 2-week negotiation. But in the end, we got that. Now, we got it if they sign the paper. In theory, they're pretty close to signing a paper. We've actually gotten along with them very well. And you know what you saw for the last few nights? It takes two to tango. You understand that. We hit them very hard on something else, unrelated. And so they were responding. But, and not very strongly. As far as birthday, as far as wishes, I want to just, we have a phrase, I think it goes down, I would think, in the history of our country, maybe the history of the world, as the greatest slogan or phrase ever. Make America great again. That's all I want. I want to make America great again. I think we've come a long way. I think want to make America great again. I think we've come a long way. I think we're the most respected country in the world right now. By far, the most respected. President Xi told me, I was talking about, he's a friend of mine. He's a good man. I hate to say it because the press goes and they say, oh, we called him a good man. He is a good, he's for China. I'm for the USA, It's like one of those things. But we do very well now with China. When I came here, we're not doing well with China. My first term, when I inherited that, it was stupid people, really stupid people. So we're doing great. But the phrase, make America great again, that's all I want. Very simple phrase to think of. And I think it's the greatest in the history. I would say that's probably the greatest phrase in the history of the world, not only here. There's never been anything like it. Make America great again. That's what I've done. And we've made it great. In fact, in a way, I want to use it because I would never give it up. MAGA is too good. It's too good. It really is the Republican Party. That's why we're doing so well. That's why we, if you look at the Republican Party from before I came till now, this is a much different party. It's a much bigger party. We have many, many more people. And I think the thought, the mind, the thought is much, and I think the thought is much different than it was 10 years ago. It's amazing. A much more powerful party, much different party, and a much more impactful party. Thank you very much.
AI. 2 questions on Iran, sir.
Go ahead.
First, you said last week that the U.S. would go in and dig out the buried nuclear material in coordination with them.
Right.
Did Iran actually agree to that?
Well, it depends on what day you're talking about. They did agree, and then sometimes they agreed. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's one of the things we talk about. It's very overrated. I'm the one that overrated it. I thought, to me, it was important. To other people, it's not important because those beautiful B-2 right here, the B-2 bombers, they obliterated. When CNN said maybe it was an obliteration, they knew. I mean, before the pilots even came back home, before anybody saw the site. But then the Atomic Energy Commission went. They said it was obliterated. That stuff is buried underneath a mountain that virtually collapses. Very, very hard to get it. But nevertheless, I want to get it. We're the only ones, us and probably China are the only 2 countries that have the equipment where you can do that. So, I want to get it. We have, at different times, they've changed their mind a couple of times. But as it stands now, we will go in at some time in the not too distant future. It's very safe down there. With Space Force, we have cameras every angle of those 3 sites are being watched at all times. If anybody went there, we'll see exactly what's happening, and we'll blow it up a little bit further. But as far as getting it, the B-2 bombers did a job like nobody's ever seen. In the night, with no moon, dead darkness, at 1 o'clock in the morning or so, they dropped those bombs, the biggest, just about as big a bomb as you can ever find, and it went down air chutes. It was hard to believe that they can do the technology. It followed a beam right into the air chutes, right, exploded. Very hard to get that material, but I still nevertheless want it. And I don't want to do it if we're in conflict. I don't want to put men in that kind of danger. I remember Jimmy Carter had some bad problems in Iran with the hostages. I don't want to ever put our people in that kind of danger. But when it's over, as of this moment, it's agreed that we will go in with them. We will get it, and we will destroy it. It will be destroyed.
Sorry, I have a follow-up, Mr. President. My second question. Is it possible to get to a deal with Iran, whether to go in and do that or to open up the Strait of Hormuz without seeing an Israeli cessation of their hostilities in Lebanon?
I think we're trying to separate it. I mean, you look, it's a very different kind of a thing. We actually spoke with Hezbollah for the first time ever. We didn't know they spoke. And they agreed yesterday they're not going to shoot. Israel's not going to shoot. We're just going to see. But I'd like to separate it. I'd like to have it a separate thing because it is separate. But Israel, hey, look, they've been a great partner. Bibi Netanyahu has been, for me, a great partner. For other people, not so good. For me, he's been very good. We were very effective, what we've done. And they needed us. They couldn't have done it without us. Couldn't have even come close. And they needed us. And they got us to help them with a real problem, because Iran was a real problem, a big problem, a worldwide problem, because they wouldn't have stopped with Israel. They would have blown up the Middle East. And you saw that by the rockets. All those rockets that went to the 5, mostly for the most part, the 5 countries outside of Israel, those rockets were going to blow up the Middle East. And I stopped it, and I'm very proud I stopped it. And we also stopped it in the first term when I terminated the Iran nuclear deal penned by Barack Hussein Obama. It's one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. And this has no relation. I like these morons, these Democrats, D-U-M, Democrats, these Democrats, D-U-M, Democrats, that go on television and say, oh, well, this is just like the Obama did. This is the exact opposite. This is no path to a nuclear weapon. That was an absolute path to a nuclear weapon that you couldn't have done anything about. This is the exact opposite. They gave billions and billions of dollars to Iran, including $1.7 billion put into a Boeing 757 with the seats taken out because there wasn't enough room if you left the seats, with $1.7 billion in cash taken from the banks in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, and flown to Iran, 1.7 in green cash, and then tens of billions of dollars given to Iran by our government. Frankly, they picked the wrong. There is a good possibility, I think, because without the bombing, that wouldn't have worked, without the blockade. The blockade is the most powerful thing. I think the blockade maybe has more impact than the bombing has. But the blockade that we have, the naval blockade, is incredible. Now, one ship has gotten through, unless we wanted it to. And people respect it a lot, and we'll see. But, you know, there's a chance if this really worked out, they could rebuild. You know, it used to be a very, very good nation. You go back, I have friends that used to, old-timers, very good nation. You go back, I have friends that used to, old-timers, they used to go there and they used to do well. They used to build in Iran. They built apartment houses and they built office buildings in Iran. Hard to believe, right? But there's a chance that maybe that comes back. But whether it comes back or not, I think we have a very powerful deal that we're negotiating. The exact opposite as the Obama deal. The Obama deal was a disgrace. It gave them a nuclear weapon. We do the exact thing. We, under our deal, they will never, ever have a nuclear weapon. One of the other things that happens, and this is important, but there's nothing more important than taking away the capability of a nuclear weapon from Iran.
Mr. President,
Wait, but one of the other things that's important and very important is that immediately upon signing the memorandum of understanding, the Hormuz Strait will open, and it'll open up quickly. And we've already had our minesweepers there. You know, we're sweeping, as you probably have heard. And these are underwater minesweepers. They're great, amazing technology. They're underwater because usually when you're looking for mines, that usually means you have some dangerous characters out there. That's why. So we're underwater, but we've swept mines, and we've gotten most of them, we think. So, but the Hormuz Strait will open immediately upon signing. Now, that's subject to a couple of areas being cleaned out also of mines, which we don't think there are any. So it'll happen very quickly, and we'll take the southern route anyway. But immediately upon signing, we open up the Hormuz Strait.
Mr. President, just to clarify on what you said, excuse me, Mr. President, just to clarify on what you were asked earlier, is the $1.8 billion DOJ fund dead or is it on hold?
It's, I'd have to ask the lawyers, I don't know. I know one thing, the weaponization, are you talking about the weaponization fund?
Yeah, what's your decision?
The weaponization fund, as far as I'm concerned, was a beautiful thing. It was something I didn't make it, but I heard that. I thought that was the greatest thing because people like you have abused our people so badly. The fake news like CNN, like the New York Times and like others have abused our people. Wait a minute, be quiet. Have abused our people so badly, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You used to be a conservative. She was a conservative from Alabama, can you believe it? But CNN, in particular, CNN, does such false reporting. But now they have new ownership, so maybe it'll straighten it out. I doubt it, but it's hard to straighten garbage out. But CNN has abused, and others have abused so badly. People, these are people that are great people that were destroyed. Their families have been destroyed. Many suicides. They committed suicide. People that went there with love. They went there with love. You know, when I made that speech early in the day, tremendous crowd. I hate to say because they'll say, oh, I was wrong on the number, but I believe it's the largest crowd I've ever spoken to by twice. The biggest crowd, I think, bigger than the inaugurations, bigger than anything. And there was so much love and friendship. It was the most amazing thing. People were crying. They were like, wait a minute, let me finish. And those people have been abused by you and by others and by the politicians, by the Democrats. They're dumb people. They want to have open borders. They want to have transgender mutilization of your children. They want to have men playing in women's sports. They want to have high taxes. They turned down, you know, they fought us on the tax bill, and they fought us because they want people to pay high taxes because they're crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you. It's a shame. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much. On communism, today you have some stern words on communism.
I just wrote that. Did you like it? Did you think it was well written?
Well, it's certainly very meaningful to a lot of Americans.
Well, I'd read it. Do you want to read it? Do you have it? You could read it. It's untruth. I just wrote it. I just felt I've seen what's going on with communism, and I see this country. Read it. I'd love to have you. Thank you.
You wrote that quote, communists always do well with the voters, or as they would say, the people in the early years. But in the end, the country, state, or city goes to hell. Great violence proceeds at levels never seen before, and the entity dissolves into guaranteed death and destruction.
Well, you see it happening with New York. You see it happening with Los Angeles and parts of California. And it's so easy, you know, I'd be the greatest in the world. Nobody would, and it's so easy, you know, I'd be the greatest in the world. Nobody would be as good as me. I'd get away everything. I could be the greatest. I would sell them. You're going to get free rent. You're going to get free houses. You're going to get free food. You're going to get free everything. But eventually that ends. And it leads to death, destruction, and squalor 100% of the time. When I watched New York, and you know, I liked him very much. He stood right here, and he's been in the office a couple of times. The mayor of New York, I think he's a very nice person, and I don't know, he's a smart guy. I don't understand why he thinks it's okay for all these companies that pay hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes a year to leave. Because you're not going to have any tax base, and you're going to end up in hunger and squalor and death and destruction. I would be better than him if I wanted to go that route. Ladies and gentlemen, you no longer pay rent. You no longer have to pay interest on your mortgage. You're no longer going to have to pay for food. I'm going to give you a grocery store and I'm going to give you free food. You're no longer going to have, you're going to have the greatest life ever. Follow me, you're going to have the greatest life. And you know what? For a couple of years, that's such a powerful, I would be the best ever at giving it. Nobody would ever be. I had to sell free enterprise. Free enterprise is tougher. Nobody would ever be. I had to sell free enterprise. Free enterprise is tougher to sell, but that's what's made our country great. And that's why it's great again now. If I didn't get elected, we wouldn't have a country. We really wouldn't have a country. This country would be finished. But I see what's happening in Los Angeles. I see what's happening in New York, where I look at Chicago. You have a stupid governor, a dumb governor, a really dumb guy. I know him well. He's a failure in his family, Pritzker. I know the family. I was partners in a deal with them. I made a lot of money. They made money. We made a good partnership. But he was like an outcast in the family. He was a slob. And the mayor is a low IQ person. I mean, he's a stupid person. Chicago has a case, a real chance to become great again. There's a case, great again. If we were allowed to do what we did in Washington or Memphis, I was with the governor of Tennessee yesterday, and he said, I want to come in. He came in to thank me. I said, for what? He said, what you did for Memphis. Memphis, the crime is down about 72%, and it's going, he said it's like a different city. Washington is even more so. We started a little bit earlier. Washington, you walk down the streets and people feel safe here again. It's a safe city. If I were, oh, by the way, in Louisiana, what I've done there is unbelievable. Because the governor, Jeff Landry, called. He said, you got to help me with New Orleans. We have a tremendous crime problem. And I sent in our really talented people, including National Guardsmen. And they did it unbelievable. They had the safest, they said they had the safest, it just ended about 3 weeks ago. They had the safest Mardi Gras they've ever had. I could do that in Chicago, but you have to have the support of a governor. You can't have a slob that says, we don't want it. People get murdered, and he says it's fine. They lost 5 or 6 people last week, and he said, it's fine. You're not going to lose 5 or 6 people. And I would make Chicago so good and so safe. It's got potential. The longer it goes, the harder it is to fix. And San Francisco, we could do such a good job. My friend said, please let the mayor, he's a liberal guy, nice guy, I talked to him. He wants to make San Francisco good, and he's trying very hard. I said, look, I can do it much faster than you. Please let me have a time. I spoke to the mayor, and some very important people asked me to give him a chance, because I'd like to see if he could do it. And he's doing okay, but I could do it much faster, much better. And we can remove, don't forget, 2% of your people create 90% of your crime. That's a great number, because 2% of the people you can take care of. If it was 90% of the people, that's no good. But 2%. In Washington, right here in D.C., we removed close to 5,000 hard-line criminals. Many came in through the Biden open border. We removed them from Washington, D.C., and it's one of the reasons that we're so safe now. We have a great, beautiful place. Again, the fountains are almost all open. You're going to have the reflecting pool opened within hours. I mean, literally within hours. The water starts pouring in tonight. It's going to be beautiful. You haven't seen that since 1922. Think of that, 1922. It hasn't worked. Never worked. From the day they built it, it never worked. But you're going to see that. And people are all thanking me because Washington's beautiful again. The parks are open. We changed the grass. Grass has a life also. Like people, grass has a life. And that grass hasn't been changed in 70, 80 years. It died many times over. We have beautiful grass, beautiful parks, beautiful everything. We don't have people living on it. And Washington, D.C., in a matter of 14 months, Washington, D.C. is like a different place. If people are coming here, the restaurants were all going out of business, as you know, because you use the restaurants. And now the restaurants are hot. In fact, if anything, we don't have enough restaurant space. They're all reopening. It's become vibrant. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and I am honored that I've been able to do it to our nation's capital. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, press.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
You've been listening to President Trump speak in the Oval Office and take questions. He discussed negotiations with Iran. He said a powerful deal is being worked on. He says the Strait of Hormuz will open immediately after the signing of a deal. So do you remember this? President Trump's 2019 face-to-face meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un? Trump nicknamed the North Korean leader Rocket Man to mock his repeated ballistic missiles and nuclear tests. So now Trump says he would like to meet another nation's leader with nuclear weapons aspirations. That is Iran's supreme leader. In an interview released today, the president said that he and Iran's supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, are getting along quite well. The president's remark coming as Iran and the United States continue talks. So what is next for the president? The president believes it's important to talk to our foes. So who knows? Maybe the next time he visits Trump Towers in New York, he'll drop in on former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. He is still jailed in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. We'll have to wait and see, but the president is always surprising all of us. Meanwhile, President Trump confirms reports that he did, in fact, lash out at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It happened during a Monday phone call with him. Middle East correspondent Zach Anders joins me from Tel Aviv, where it is 11:39 p.m. Zach?
Well, Greta, interesting to listen to the president there saying potentially a deal with Iran could be reached this weekend. Now, as you mentioned, potentially a rift between him and Prime Minister Netanyahu. It was outlined in an interview released today. Trump said that he was a little bit perturbed by Israel constantly fighting in Lebanon. According to sources familiar with that Monday call between the two leaders, now confirmed by the president, he said he did say Netanyahu was bleeping crazy. And according to these reports, the president stated that the prime minister would be in prison if it wasn't for him. The call came as Israel publicly broadcasted their plan to strike a Hezbollah stronghold in Beirut on Monday. Iran then warned they would fire ballistic missiles at Israel if the IDF carried out that attack. Now, the U.S. has been pushing for de-escalation on all sides, continuing to mediate high-level talks between Israel and Lebanon. Hezbollah not at the table. Now, despite confirming that tense call, President Trump said today that he and Netanyahu still work very well together and that he likes Bibi a lot. Netanyahu's office mostly silent on the call until today in an interview with CNBC.
So we have common goals. Sometimes we have, as in the best of families, you have these tactical disagreements. We always find a way to work them out, and we do so as great friends. We can disagree in the morning, and by the afternoon we have common action.
Here in Israel, even those in Netanyahu's own coalition are calling this a disaster, accusing the prime minister of capitulating. Netanyahu's national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, urged Netanyahu to defy the president. He wrote on X that this is the time to tell our friend President Trump no. Greta?
Zach Anders, thank you. Nobody is perfect, not even President Trump. Until last night during the primary season, the president had a perfect endorsement record, 118 for 118. But last night, the president suffered his first endorsement loss. Iowa Congressman Randy Feenstra, who is backed by President Trump, lost his primary in Iowa's governor's race. He lost to businessman and farmer Zach Lon. Meanwhile, in the race for governor of California, we have an idea who will head to November's general election. Votes are still being counted, but we do know the top two vote getters will head to the general election and face each other. As of now, that would be former HHS Secretary under President Biden, Javier Becerra, and former Fox television host, Republican Steve Hilton. And the race for Los Angeles mayor, still not called, but right now incumbent Mayor Karen Bass has enough votes to advance to the runoff. Former reality TV star Spencer Pratt is not far behind. He will likely head to the runoff to face Bass. Opinion editor for the California Post, Joel Pollak, joins me. Nice to talk to you, sir. And can you tell me anything about the turnout? And is there anything that we should garner from the turnout in California? I know it's mail-in and some in-person voting.
Well, turnout in these elections is always low. First of all, it's low for primaries. And second of all, it's always low for LA city elections. There just is not enough interest, even when the city is in the state it's in, to get enough people to the polls to really make a huge difference in turnout numbers. But the most motivated voters are showing up. And in that 30% result for Spencer Pratt so far, you see that there is a significant proportion of LA voters who are just fed up with what's going on, and whether they lost their homes in the fires or not, they are absolutely furious at the poor state of city services, especially given the high taxes we pay.
And it does seem to me, too, that a lot of people are leaving California, those who are able to leave California. If you have a lot of money, you can leave. You can work remotely. But there are a lot of people who can't leave California. Is there anything even a Republican governor could do about the tax situation in California?
Well, there are a few things that the governor can do. Of course, you need the state legislature to start repealing taxes, but the governor can certainly lead on that by asking the legislature to repeal taxes. And we're losing people in LA, not just because of taxes, but also because of failures by the executive, failures by the mayor, failures by the governor to protect communities from fire damage, to make sure there are police on the street, to provide enough money in the budget for firefighters. So LA has lost a net of roughly 10,000 residents, in that ballpark, in the tens of thousands. And the state is also losing residents. In fact, if it weren't for immigration, California would be losing even more. And again, it's not just the taxes, although the cost of living and affordability are the #1 issues for Californians. It's also all of the other things that make living in California more challenging, and a lot of them are subject to executive control. And if you start changing some of the regulations, start making it easier to live, to own a business, then you can start to see the positives outweighing the negatives, more people staying in California, even coming to California. But as it is, California is going to lose at least 1 congressional seat, maybe more, in the next census.
What about the integrity of this vote, and why does it take so long to count a vote in California?
Well, it is funny that we are the most technologically advanced state in the union and most tech-savvy place in the world, really. You've got Silicon Valley and Hollywood, but we can't count. We can't do what every school child can do. We can't count. Why can't we count? Well, it's partly because we have all these rules to make voting as accessible as possible. So right now in California, if your ballot is simply postmarked by Election Day, the authorities will give you 7 days to get the ballot in. So as long as it's in the ballot box or the mailbox on Election Day, they'll count it even up to a week later. And that means that everything takes a lot longer. Plus, there's this odd habit of ballot harvesting, which was made legal about a decade ago, where you can arrive at the polling place with a truckload of other people's ballots, no questions asked, as long as they've signed the envelopes, and you can just dump those ballots, and that's what people do on Election Day. Party operatives show up and they dump ballots, and so it takes a long time to go through all these ballots, make sure the signatures are right and so forth, but it does mean that instead of a slow-rolling, orderly process of collecting and counting votes, or a kind of highly mechanized analytical process, if you only have 1 day, they can take several days to sift through all of the ballots still waiting to come into the counting area.
I can't tell you how many times I've changed planes halfway around the world, like at Doha in the middle of the night, and gone to the ATM card and drawn $100 out of my bank account, and instantly it's recorded in my bank here in Washington. So it really is disgraceful that we can't figure out how to get this voting straight in these communities. It really seems like there's a lack of will.
There is a lack of will, and there's nothing Republicans could do to change it because they only have a tiny minority in the legislature. But if you look nationwide, I mean, let's be honest, one of the reasons we don't see much of an improvement in our electoral systems is that both parties, and the incumbents in particular from both parties, don't have that much of an incentive to change the system that got them elected. So it really is going to be a tough thing to do. And I do think President Trump is trying. We may have a chance actually in November in California. There's a group called Reform California that has managed to gather enough signatures to put a voter ID referendum on the ballot. So if that passes in November, you will have to show photo ID the next time you vote in California. That's after this November. So there are still many other interesting races and ballot questions, ballot initiatives that are yet to come in California in November.
Joel Pollak, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you come back, sir.
Thank you.
Coming up, what does O.J. Simpson have to do with tonight's NBA Finals? That answer when the record continues.
Homeowners, are you really covered?
You have your home fire insurance, flood insurance, accident insurance. But how about your plumbing, your electrical, your appliances?
Choice Home Warranty can help cover the repair or replacement of over 25 key systems and appliances. If one breaks down, it won't break the bank getting it repaired or replaced.
Your fridge? Covered. Washer dryer? Covered. Heating? Covered. Your dishwasher? Covered. Your AC? Covered. Hot water heater? Yep, that's covered too.
Join the more than 2.4 million homeowners nationwide that have protected their home with Choice. And Choice has a huge nationwide network of trusted technicians. Call Choice Home Warranty right now for special phone deals available today. And ask how you can get your first month free. Choice has been named the best home warranty company 6 years running and won awards for best claim service. With Choice Home Warranty, there's no home inspection, no commitment. Cancel anytime.
I can't count how many times I was charged a fortune for a specialist just to show up and they couldn't even fix my problems. Now, I'm covered with Choice Home Warranty for everything, from my AC to my ceiling fans. Your microwave? Covered. Your stove? Covered. With over 100,000 five-star customer reviews, Choice is a company they all trust to be covered. And now, so can you.
And if you call right now, you could get a special phone deal not available online. Plus, ask how to get your first month free.
Imagine avoiding shocking repair costs.
Call Choice Home Warranty now and find out how to get special deals only available on the phone. And ask how to get your first month free.
Call 800-998-3234.
I'm David Wright, former New York Mets third baseman, and I support the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. I've seen firsthand the great work they do helping our firefighters, our police, and our soldiers and their families. T2T is asking for your support for these brave men and women. Just $11 a month will go a long way and make a big difference. Go to t2t.org to find out more. Let's go Mets, and let's do good together.
This is a story about the one. The one who looks to Grainger to make sparks fly. Getting it done right is a craft. It takes experience, the right material, and the right partner like Grainger with a wide range of professional-grade products. For the one, working hard means others can play even harder. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Just what Congressman George Santos, or former Congressman George Santos, didn't need: more legal trouble. According to NPR, the Justice Department is investigating Santos for alleged insider trading on Kalshi, which is a prediction market. This, according to anonymous sources. You know I don't like anonymous sources, but nonetheless, that's what NPR is reporting. And the investigation reportedly centers on this prediction market on who would attend President Trump's State of the Union back in February. Santos was one of the many wagered options. His odds spiked when he said this a day before the State of the Union.
I'm going to be there for the State of the Union in the gallery, guys.
But on the day of the State of the Union, Santos said, quote, "Watching State of the Union from an airport TV was not part of the plan," end quote. According to NPR, who again cited those anonymous sources, Santos actually bet that he would not be attending the State of the Union. The report says Santos made a profit in the tens of thousands of dollars. When NPR asked Santos about the investigation, he told them, quote, "Well, that's news to me," end quote. He would also not say whether he has a Kalshi account or not. In October, Santos was released from federal prison. His 87-month sentence was commuted by President Trump. Santos was in prison for wire fraud and identity theft. And remember this, back in 1994, the coverage of Game 5 of the NBA Finals was interrupted. Why? Because of O.J. Simpson's famous white Bronco car chase. NBC, who was televising the NBA games, kept switching back and forth between O.J. and the Bronco chase and the NBA game. It was very confusing watching TV, especially the split screens. The NBA teams playing on June 17, 1994 were the New York Knicks and the Houston Rockets. So tonight, the New York Knicks are back in the finals again. Tonight they're facing another Texas team, the San Antonio Spurs. So when was the last time the Knicks were in the finals? Not 94, but 99. Guess who Knicks played then? The San Antonio Spurs, just like 1994. The Spurs went on to win the championship that year. So will history repeat itself, or will the Knicks end a 53-year championship drought? We're going to keep an eye on it. Coming up, crime-busting U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro just made an amazing rescue. That when the record continues.
Closed captioning by America Tax Group. Stop IRS and state collections. Free consultation. Call now.
America Tax Group is the nation's leading tax firm that has helped millions of taxpayers resolve penalties, remove liens, and stop wage garnishments. If you're dealing with IRS or state tax issues, don't wait. Call now.
Another lost summer scrolling and swiping? Another lost spring break? Turns out, the fix is right here. Create new lifetime memories from the comfort of your backyard. No passports, no reservations. Latham's premium handcrafted pools are ultra durable for any climate. Can be installed in weeks, not months. And have hundreds of designs, sizes, and colors to choose from. For 70 years, Latham Pool has remained the gold standard in bringing backyard dreams to life. Our pools are easy to care for, won't stain or crack, and never require costly resurfacing. And with flexible financing options, your dream is within reach. And with our crystal finish, you can bring your favorite exotic watercolor and shimmer right to your own backyard. It's never too early to start planning for a lifetime of memories. Visit LathamPool.com now. Latham is a proud sponsor of USA Artistic Swimming.
To dream the impossible dream, to reach the United States World Cup champions.
What? You think the U.S. is going to win the World Cup?
Hey, you don't believe in miracles?
We can all agree, steak is for dads. Grill dads, charcoal dads, tongue-snapping dads, united by their love of steak. His perfect gift is waiting, plus 8 free burgers at omahasteaks.com.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time. Fatty 15 actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. That's why I take Fatty 15.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
Our U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, just had a birthday. President Trump posted about it so the entire world heard about it. Jeanine celebrated with 2 very special gifts to herself.
This year, I got 2 very special items. And as you know, I'm a dog lover. I have 4 rescues, 3 standard poodles, and a Bernedoodle. So for my birthday, what I did was I got two beagles from Ridgeland Farms in Wisconsin through my girlfriend, Lori Simmons from the Big Dog Ranch. And I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dogs. Okay, if I could count, I'd be good. And their names are Snoopy and Lucy. And they are living the good life.
I know those dogs are the best because they are from the great state of Wisconsin. Happy birthday, belated, to U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Now to some videos sent by one of our viewers. Deborah Fitzer from Maine sent us this. She was out for a walk with her dogs. That is when her neighbor, Linda, joined the walk. That neighbor is this donkey, Linda. Apparently, Linda likes to visit different homes around the neighborhood. Linda has a lot of dogs to visit. Our viewer, Deborah, has 8 dogs, including 1 foster dog. So thank you, Deborah, for watching and for sending us this video and introducing us to Linda. Do you have any good pet videos? Send them over. You can send them to my email address on your screen, email Greta@newsmax.com. And don't forget, I have a new podcast called Greta Wa. You will like it. It's different. I just posted where you should never go on vacation and stay. Really. You can subscribe to my podcast now on your favorite podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at newsmax.com/listen. Thank you for watching. Ed Henry, The Big Take, is up next. Stay with Newsmax.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.